I'm Brad Reimer, the Geek.
And I'm Aaron Bell, the Gut.
I created a great software that competes against the competition because typically you'll see somebody that goes out there and does trends, 7 to 8 variables. Mine does a million.
Essentially what you're going to see here throughout the show is we're going to give you a mashup of a lot of the fantasy players that we think are going to click this week. There's some we agree on, several we disagree on. But we're going to let you make your opinion on what we bring to the game through all the analytics and my gut opinion.
And effectively what we'll do at the end is basically give you a very distinct and knowledgeable way to choose your lineup each week.
And a couple of picks for those of you who like to do the friendly gentleman wagers.
That is true.
Welcome to This Week in NFL History. Today we're going to profile Walter Payton. He's one of my personal favorites. So I decided to dive back into the books and take a look at his week 1. And to tell you the truth, my gut was wrong. I figured he'd be huge. When I looked at it, guess his stats. 8 carries for net 0 yards. Ladies and gentlemen, Walter Payton, This Week in NFL History, week 1.
Welcome everybody to Llama's Stars of the Week. Here we will give to you all of your traditional fantasy players' stars of the week, the safest bets. We'll go by and in future fashion we'll give you the results of last week, but being the inaugural episode, today we're going to start with each position.
So what you'll see is Llama's pick of the week, then the Gut and the Geek's pick of the week. We'll start with Big Ben.
Well, to me, and being the Geek, the Llama tells us that Big Ben is the safest lock of the week. Why? Why? Because Tennessee fails to stop the middle of the field. And Pittsburgh has no definitive running situation. It is going to be a full pass game. Full pass.
And all I'm seeing is this. Big Ben is healthy, it's week 1, and the running backs are dinged up.
Geek pick of the week, QB, Tony Romo, Giants. You know why? Because effectively, if you look at my heat chart, why my heat chart? Because the Fantasy Llama says it's the heat chart. The Giants have a net 0 in the core, in the middle, up the seams of all defense. It is going to be a day for Witten. It's going to be a day for wide receivers, post corners, all day long.
Here's a couple things I actually like about what you said. I do see Witten, Mr. Consistency over the middle. That's going to happen. What I don't like about it, I think the Giants' D-line is still going to overwhelm the Dallas O-line. I don't think they've got it consistent. I don't think they're stable. I still think guys like Justin Tucker are going to wreak havoc. Romo, okay, not great.
That's why we have our wager.
So now we go to the Gut pick of the week at quarterback. This week, I'm going to look at Drew Brees. Big reasons. He's back with Peyton. His coach is back. His coach is back. His coach is creative, and his coach has big offense. So they're going to light it up. Last time they were together, they lit the NFL on fire with one of the highest scoring teams the league has ever seen. Get ready for explosive offense coming out of New Orleans. You got anything to add to that?
I like the pick, other than the fact that I think that Atlanta's defense at home might be a little bit abrasive.
I can see that, but I'm saying Drew Brees lights it up. He's very consistent. Now what we're going to do is going to run into the running back situation. So our consensus pick is Frank Gore for the Llama's pick.
The Geek said it. I mean, the Fantasy Llama has an algorithm that will literally project for you every single safe matchup. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my overlying pick just to kind of counter this guy. I don't like him, but I'm going to bet and wager against him.
I don't know much about logs, but I know a lot about rhythm. Frank Gore's got a rhythm when it comes to the goal line, and that's where he's going to run in and make it happen. Their O-line is big. Their O-line is physical. Frank Gore's going to get a lot of stuff done in the red zone.
Green Bay has holes.
For consensus pick, I love Frank Gore, and as a Bear fan, I hate Green Bay. Let's go to the individual picks now. Who are you rolling with here this week?
My week is going to say Stephon Ridley. You know why? Because if you look at Buffalo's defense, it is struggling up the middle. They're going to bite up all day long on Tom Brady's passing capabilities. Yeah, Gronk might not be there, but I will tell you right now, the Patriots have a dominant offensive line versus the Buffalo defense, and even at Buffalo, I'm going to give Ridley the upper hand.
See, what I kind of like about what you're saying is there's a lot of money invested in Buffalo, but not a lot of talent making it happen on their D-line. What I don't like is I think Brady, when they get to the red zone, very rarely do you see them in goal line situations. And when they do get to that 4th and 1, Brady's big over the goal line. I see Brady getting that sneak at the 1. I see the tight ends and the receivers hitting it up at about 15 out. My pick of the week, the guts pick of the week, I'm going with somebody similarly built to myself, MJD. Maurice Jones-Drew, coming back, wimpy, kill you. Going back to what I like about him, he's healthy week 1. He's got something to prove. He's getting to that precipice of a guy who's about 30.
Contract
Does
year.
he start to go? Contract year's big. I love him, especially against Kansas City. I don't think I see Andy Reid, traditionally great offense, not a lot of defense coming with him. Thoughts on MJD?
All day long, Kansas City's going to be able to stop him in the heat. If he gets out to the edge, unless he became Jamal Charles in the offseason, there's no way he's catching the edge.
So your heat map's telling you what? Your heat map tells you what on MJD?
Well, effectively what the heat map does tell me is that you have a strong core versus a weak offensive line. Middle and interior core here. I mean, you have a net -3 for KC's defense. I'm going to give you a little bit of a Maurice Jones-Drew if he catches the outside.
All right. Okay, so essentially I like MJD. He's back. He's healthy. I think he feels he has something to prove. So let's go on to the wide receivers now. We're going to look at our consensus. Maybe a little off the charts here. We're going with Anquan Bolden, an old standby.
Well, you know what? I agree with my system. Fantasy Llama said Anquan Bolden. And why? Wide receiver, TD receptions, big guy, #1 wide receiver, Crabtree hurt.
You know, he hit a couple things that I would also say in that. 1, Crabtree's down. 2, Kaepernick. A lot of reports come out of campus. Kaepernick was hooking up with him pretty consistently throughout drills and things like that. Bolton's a leader. He's a big guy. He's in the red zone. He's going to catch touchdowns for him. And let's not forget the effect he had with Joe Flacco last year in the playoff run. He was big time and he made it happen. Let's go on to your individual. Who do you got for your individual?
Individually this week, I'm going to give it to Antonio Brown. Why?
Who?
Antonio Brown, Pittsburgh, wide receiver.
Oh, he plays.
Tennessee.
Gotcha.
Tennessee Titans. And you know why? You're at home. Pittsburgh's going to throw the ball like crazy. And if you look at Tennessee's right side, if you look at their core, their middle, and their outside receivers, it is going to be a pass frenzy day.
Well, here's what I like about it. We both talked about this earlier. Big Ben, we both agree, is going to have a big day.
Big day.
So I can see where Antonio Brown would come in, although I forget his name on off flats. I don't think he's a big-time player in the league, but that's going to happen.
You get a big Emmanuel Sanders.
Well, you know, either
Who's
way,
he going to throw to?
I like Heath Miller.
Heath is hurt.
He's hurt, but I still like him. I'm going to go to my pick now, and this is kind of a personal one. For those of you who don't know, we do reside in Mile High City. I'm going with Demaryius Thomas for my pick of the week for wide receiver. A couple reasons why. One, Broncos are a little angry going into this week. For those of you who don't know, they're flying like banners of Joe Flacco all over the city. Let's say the boys are a little motivated to go to work this week. Demaryius going big over the top, I think, is going to hurt the Ravens. Ed Reed's gone. Who's going to defend big DT over the top?
True, very true. I mean, it could be one of those things. Well, my problem is that Peyton's got 3 very reliable targets. It might be spread too much, too little, too thin.
And I'll hear that all day, but when it comes down to the red zone, there's one guy who's 6'4", weighs about 230, and I'm not going to lie to you. Saw the guy at a bar the other day, I thought he was a tight end. No clue he was a wide receiver with the size of him. I'm going DT all day, red zone, big time.
I like it.
Speaking of tight ends, let's go to them. Our consensus pick for the week at a tight end.
Fantasy Llama will tell everybody, go with the Graham, Jimmy Graham. Drew Brees has nobody to throw to consistently. He's got Colston, who's quasi-hurt. Lance Moore just got moved up to #2. Jimmy Graham has a prime opportunity up the middle all day.
And I'll say this. Drew Brees is my pick of the week from a gut pick at quarterback. And there's, like you said, there's no better target he has than Jimmy Graham. 6'6", going over the middle, played at the U. The guy does damage, and he's a big-time tight end.
He's athletic.
Who's your tight end for the individual pick of the week?
You know what? I'm going back to my friend, the Dallas Cowboys, Jason Witten versus the Giants. It is wide open up the middle. Hooks, laterals, curls, outs, posts, up the seam.
Hey,
it is going to be
Geek.
a total net 0 up the middle. Are you kidding me?
The fact that you said lateral makes me want to throw up. But here's what I'm talking about. He is Mr. Consistency. He does do well. But here's what I'm saying. I think the linebacking crew does damage. And again, he may be that hot route out of the gate when the line gets pressure on him, because I do think the New York Giants D-line is going to put pressure on Romo all day, have him scrambling. I think Hakeem Nicks will probably have a better day than Witten. I'm sorry, that was totally backwards. That was horrible. But here's what I'm saying.
Horrible.
Witten is no Des Bryant. I'm going to leave it at that.
Well, we'll see.
My pick of the week is Brandon Pettigrew from the Detroit Lions.
Wager winner, by the way.
The reason I say this, with what has going on with the Detroit Lions right now, you got Matthew Stafford at the helm, slinging for almost 5,000 yards last year. We all know the ultimate weapon he's got on the outside with Megatron. He's going to draw a lot of safety help over the top to his side. A lot of things are going to happen with Megatron. And the new thing you have happening right now is Reggie Bush. He's going to put a threat on the linebacker. So what opens up when all that happens? The tight end up the seam. A little play action Pettigrew over the middle. I see that happening all day. I'm saying at least one touchdown for Brandon Pettigrew week 1.
I kind of agree, but you know what? It's going to be 6 points. So unless you're on TD only or TD focused league, not going to be the prime target.
Tell me a league where TDs don't matter a whole lot.
Well, PPRs. Thanks.
One TD takes away 7 to 8 catches.
Well, Fantasy Llama tells us in the next position is the kicker. I feel so comfortable right now that I'm going to win this bet that I'm just going to keep moving on.
Who cares about kickers?
Kickers of the week, nobody does, but you know what? They do count. They are the most consistent outside of defense and quarterback. The Fantasy Llama, fantasyllama.com, says that Stephen Hauschka.
I don't even know how to pronounce that guy's name for the record.
Yeah. Stephen Hauschka at Carolina. You know what? It's week 1 at an opponent. I'm going to give it to the guy that they have a very great and high propensity to score. If they can't, they'll at least be in the red zone, kick a field goal.
Hey, nice vocab. A kicker. Next. Here's your individual.
My individual for this week is Rob Baronis. Why? Again, at Pittsburgh, Tennessee. Great game. A lot of passing, a lot of a fast-moving game. It's going to be red zone targets. Baronis.
Here's what I would say. Kicking in Pittsburgh is traditionally very difficult. I don't know how the Geek doesn't know that. 50-yard field goals are at a minimum there, so I'm going to say no. Although Baronis is a great kicker, I don't see big points coming out of him. Now, where I do see good things happening.
Well, first of all, I said the red zone, and I don't know the red zone.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, those are 3-point kicks. I'm looking for 5-point kicks. So where I'm going is the guy who beat out. For those of you who don't know, for those of you who look at the internet, Kickalicious lost his job to a guy named David Akers, a traditional kicker, now kicking for the Detroit Lions, making things happen, going to kicking on turf for a big offense. David Akers is going to put up big points, more opportunity for big points on 50-yard kicks, 40-yard kicks.
Projected 700 throws this season for Stafford. I agree.
Defenses.
Defensive special teams. I mean, effectively, if you think about it, I mean, the Fantasy Llama cannot get this more right. The Buccaneers versus a terrible and claustro, just crazy Jets offense. I'm going to give it the Bucs.
Give me some numbers on the Jets offense and why the defense is going to make it happen.
Well, if you look at just the standard spread, you have a very tough Buccaneers defense in the back. I mean, if you look at, they have a strong core, strong front defensive line against a weak and depleted Jets offensive line.
What are the receivers rate against the DBs? Like from your, give me the heat map. What was the heat map say?
The heat map tells me that you have a -2, a 1 at tight end. You do have a +5. I'll give you a +5.
Where?
This is rating Santonio Holmes as a number 5. He does have a benefit. And also, Hill, depending on who's in, Stephen Hill is probably going to be the starting, and he'll be the number 1.
So, is that 1 to 5? Like, is that like a 1 to 10? He's at 5.
That's a 1 to 10.
So he's
and if you look at the heat map, the darkest number is a 5.
Okay.
That means 50%.
In the grand scheme of things, if I had my druthers every single week, I would take the defense who plays against the New York Jets.
That is true.
Or maybe as a couple of my friends would say, the New Jersey Jets.
The New Jersey.
Individual, who you got?
Individually, I'm going to pick my favorite of the season, the St. Louis Rams defensive special teams. And we're going to start with week 1 versus the Arizona Cardinals.
Howie's Kid? Is it Howie's Kid?
It is Howie's Kid. Howie's Kid's on the line. I'm telling you right now, if you actually look at the heat map, you have a strong defensive backfield and you have a collapsing defensive end. There's going to be no pocket and there's going to be nowhere for him to throw deep.
The thing I do agree with you, I love the way Jeff Fisher coaches football. He gets very aggressive. He does put pressure on the quarterback. And if the inner geek in me remembers right, going against Mike, they had, essentially, I think their front four may have had more sacks than anybody else in the league last year.
True.
Tough defense.
Good story.
But
Carries
I'll
over.
take One thing I do like about Arizona going against them, Larry Fitzgerald finally has a quarterback who can put it anywhere close to him. So don't be too high on them is what I would say.
And don't trust an ADP that you hear from the dorks.
Here's all I'm saying. Mine is Houston going against San Diego. San Diego last year, let's be honest, their O-line was a train wreck. And maybe it's a mild train wreck this year. They've moved in new parts, making things happen. There's a certain guy who comes up the middle for Houston named JT Watt.
Might be good. JJ Watt.
JJ Watt, sorry JT. I call you JJ now. But he's going to make things happen. He's one of the most dominant defensive players in the league, if not the most dominant defensive player in the league. Let's not forget they had Ed Reed, who just came off the PUP, playing in the back, and going to be roaming the back, doing his thing. I think Houston wreaks havoc. They've got return power as well, with Daniel Manning making things happen, former Bear making things. The guy runs hard. I like Houston.
My only, and it's very weak and very arguable. I want to say
all of your arguments are very weak.
it is going to be possibly a Ryan Matthews awakening day. And I know, I hate to say it.
Listen,
Philip Rivers is going to be graced by Matthews' presence.
I'll say
at
this.
San Diego.
He's coming back fine, but know who's also coming back for the Houston Texans is Brent Cushing. Cushing is back, the middle linebacker.
Yeah, the middle linebacker, rating at 9.
He was out last year, and they still have one of the best defenses in the league. He's back. Watt's healthy. Ed Reed in the back. I see them exploding and hurting Philip Rivers this week.
Rating at 9, then 8 on the edge. Well, I like it, and effectively, why don't you tell them about our friendly wager as we close here?
So a friendly wager of the week is typically something that what we're doing is we're going to put our individual picks against each other. We'll pick a bet for the week. We'll have something maybe come in from a question on Twitter or something like that. This week, to give you an idea of how we pay off the bet will happen at this point in the show. This week, since there's no bet, there's no previous week, it's called Rochambeau. 1-2 shoot.
All right, 1, 2, 3 on the hand.
No, 1-2 shoot.
Okay. 1, 2, shoot.
Oh. 2 out of 3.
Okay.
Oh! So welcome to our sponsor of the week. This week we have Teaspoon Willie sponsoring us, and we're graced enough to have Mr. Teaspoon himself, Willie England. Willie, thank you for coming with us today. And he's going to run through a few applications of chicken for us. Teaspoon Willies can be found in your local Whole Foods or online at teaspoonwillies.com. Is that correct?
Yep.
All day. Boom. So Willie, what's we got going on here today?
So today we're going to do a little wings, 3 different ways. We're going to do barbecue, we're going to do frying, which the gut is going to help us out with, and then we're going to do a little bit of broiling. The broiling I kind of made already, but we'll show you how to do these. These are very fast, quick, easy. First, we keep our grill about 600 degrees. It's been preheated.
It's a very hot grill.
Very hot. It's extremely cold out here, by the way.
Uh-oh.
That is yours. Don't touch the heat.
All right, I'll
Just watch.
tell me when.
So we have some beautiful all-natural chicken. As you can hear, a light little sizzling action.
And now, Teaspoon Willie is also an all-natural organic product. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah. So, and the great thing about it, it's also gluten-free. So the meals that we're preparing today are gluten-free. The health side is probably more on this instead of the frying, but
Frying good, health.
so what we have here is really something that's very easy. We're going to cook, and then we're going to create the sauce. We're going to bring it all together and enjoy a nice football game.
Question for you. From the temperature on the oil here, they said the grill is 600. Is there a temperature you like to get, or is it just, are you listening for a sound or something with the oil?
It's pretty much, I mean, you want to hit about 400, 425, but really, I mean, it's all about the sound. And with that, I'm going to have you go ahead and dip a couple of these in there. So as you can see,
I'm hearing some sound. I'm hearing some sound.
it makes a little bit of love. And I would suggest kind of stepping back a little bit.
Yep.
And also the biggest thing from the security standpoint, you never want to throw water on there, ever. It's just going to blow up in your face.
Simple. No blow up in your
Nothing will put more in. So we're just going to fry these for about 15 minutes. And while these are...
Is it like a golden brown kind of thing you look for? Do they float like a French fry, or how does that work?
Yeah, typically anything that you fry will float.
Okay.
And for the most part, we're looking for like kind of a crunchiness.
And what kind of oil are you using here? Is it like a canola oil? Is it a peanut oil? Or what do you have working here?
Today we're going to do a canola oil.
Okay.
And you can really use, I mean, canola is a little bit more healthier. You can do peanut oil, which definitely brings a lot more fat and love to it, which everybody loves.
Especially the gut.
Especially the gut.
Especially
the gut's
the gut.
always, this feels better for the gut. This is more the geeky style when we're looking with healthiness.
And so now I understand we have a few some of the flavor applications you applied to the items before we serve them. Is that correct?
Yeah. Let's go take
Check that out. So now we're going to go into developing a sauce to use with the chicken, also using one of your products.
Yes. And the teaspoonly spicy sauce is the flavor and the organic QAI certified organic herb and spices. There's 12 in these. So what we're using for the wing sauce, we're just adding a little bit of tomato, water, vinegar, a little bit more love that you can actually.
So what's the next steps here to develop this sauce?
So basically we're going to start off with a little bit of Greek yogurt. So just go ahead and scoop a couple in the bottom. The great thing about Greek yogurt is that people usually put fruits and berries, maybe 2 more. But the benefit of this is that it has that tang that people forget about.
Gotcha.
And this will add a little bit of zip. So this will be a part of our serving for our wing sauce and our vegetables and stuff like that. And once you pour in about 5 spoons, tablespoons of that, call it
Big teaspoons.
big teaspoons. We pretty much just cover the spicy sauce, and then we just mix it together.
Now, is there any certain color profile or anything you're looking for out of this, or?
The biggest thing that I want is just a kick with the tang, with the coolness of the yogurt.
So it's more just like whatever meets your palate, you're going to be happy.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So once we have that complete, we do the exact same thing with the sour cream that we have here.
Okay.
And we cover it again, and then we have a beautiful dipping for our tray platter that we're going to serve.
Fantastic. And we'll go check out that tray here in a minute.
Awesome.
So now we've come over to the table where you have a lot of the ingredients that you're going to use to create, now if I'm, correct me if I'm wrong here, an organic sauce to go with the chicken applications that we started.
You are correct.
All right.
The gut is treating you well. So we have very simple ingredients. We have melted butter, salted butters. We have water, lime, and we have teaspoonly spicy blend. Now the great thing about this blend is that this kind of creates everything at a baseline for flavor, spiciness. It kind of builds. The more that you eat it, the spicier it gets.
Question for you now, is this spice available at stores or is this just something that you have personally?
This is actually a brand new product right here on Gut versus Geek.
There you go. Breaking news, new product.
New product right here. But you can get this flavor profile at any Whole Foods markets. We do cross promotion with burgers, beef, brats, rubs, soon to be meatballs in this fall and winter, which I hopefully will be offered a position back to cook for you guys.
Sure.
So what we're going to do here is something that's very simple. We're going to get about 4 teaspoons of melted butter.
Melted butter. Teaspoons. Melted butter.
Teaspoons. It's all teaspoons. Best measuring. Then we have about 8 teaspoons of water. Then we're going to do about 1 teaspoon of lime. And the great thing with the lime is that it acts like it brings down the level a little bit. So
the spice gets brought down.
Yes.
So if you're not into the big spicy things, lime's a great way to tone that down for yourself.
Correct. Have you cooked a little bit?
A little bit.
You kind of dabble in every which way. So now we're going to add 1 teaspoon, which is one of these guys, and I'll let you do the honors.
Yeah. Is there any special way to shake it in there?
Just go ahead and add 1 more of these guys.
One more of this.
Yes, 1 more of these guys.
Why not?
Because we like ours a little bit spicier. And the good thing about this recipe is that it will be online and you'll be able to view it and kind of go through this action and the instructions on the recipes and kind of allow yourself to either do grilling atmosphere or frying or broiling, I think is the last one.
Yeah.
So at this point we literally just kind of mix things together.
Is there any time you need to let this set, or is it once you do this, is it good to go?
Once you do it, it's ready to go. Because the great thing with the butter, it actually loves anything just to touch.
So it just
kind of
pulls it together.
Grabs on and doesn't let go. So that's the reason why we add a little bit of butter to it. And as you can see, the smoke is kind of getting underway. So we're going to go ahead and grab some stuff.
Okay, so we've made our way over to the grill. We're going to check out some of the chicken that's working. That's looking nice.
We got a couple pieces right here that have been kind of grilling and smoking for a little bit. And so basically at this point we just add these wonderful succulent chickens in, and then we'll toss them and we will serve them ready to go. We'll let these guys kind of flip over. As you can see, all we're looking for is a nice golden brown. There's not too much to it. I mean, if you can basically press a button on a microwave, you can cook some chicken. I don't know if the gut has experienced a little bit of any outdoor grilling, but
I was going to say, is there any different time frame from, say, like a wing to a thigh to a, or what we're seeing here? Is there any difference you should pay attention to?
basically, these are your more traditional stuff that you get at wing shops.
Sure.
And they cook a lot faster. These will cook a little bit, take a little bit longer, but the reason why I like these is because you get a little bit more meat.
Okay.
You get a little bit of effort onto it. So this is ready to go. Let's go ahead and
Let's show you the finished product.
Perfect.
The finished product. You're going to see a few of the applications of the chicken along with a couple garnishes in the sauce, right?
Yeah, so what we have here is our finished product of the grilled smoked wings with the sauce that you helped prepare with.
Okay.
And that is definitely a pickle for the geek. And we also have a fried over here. And the healthiness is the yogurt right in the middle. I'm just going to go the way. And the sour cream on the left side. So this is going to be a good little foundation for watching.
It's definitely got that kick too.
I am excited to eat some of these, but first I'm going to give you something. Right now we're going to give you the pickles of the week. The Llama Locks. The Llama Locks, we have 3 teams. Although, if you want more, go to fantasyllama.com to actually get anything past 3 picks. We'll give you the entire 17 weeks, what the Llama Locks in. Fantasyllama.com will give you
17 weeks? Really?
17 weeks, all games.
Wow. I didn't know that, and I'm part of this.
It's fantastic.
Well, that's why I'm the geek, the gut, and then I guess our guest host can
So-
go in here for a second.
So we're getting 3 lots, right? So this is what we would suggest for maybe a parlay. If you want to take these 3 games and make them each individual, you have your choice.
For the betting folk,
Yeah.
I'm going to say right now, let's start with Sunday. Sunday, fantasyllama.com gives us Patriots over Bills, at Bills, by 12.
And we're looking at this, from the standpoint of the Bills quarterback situation is a train wreck. Patriots in the preseason, don't pay too much attention if you saw some bad performances. They're going to be just fine.
Right.
Brady's still at the helm. They're going to be good. What's the next one we got?
Next one, let's go straight to Monday. Last 2 games, the locks of the week. Eagles at Redskins, Redskins by 11. And then Texans at Chargers, let's go Texans by 6.
And these numbers you're seeing are what the system is saying that they're going to be.
Fantasy Llama, the algorithm, it is the money.
And we look at other lines across various sources on the internet that give us this, and these are really the locks. I really like the Philly thing is going to be really interesting to see with the Redskins. RG3 making his first start coming off the injury. Vic being named the starter, but what's Chip Kelly's offense going to look like? Fun game. The line's big. I like it.
Right. Can he work from a college system to an NFL system?
Always.
I mean, let's go with the sources. The sources tell us right now that you have a Patriots at 10.5 over Buffalo.
Nice.
Right now, the system, I'll go more. I mean, the geek.
I got a question. I mean, I think the Bills might do something this year.
You know what? I'll go with you. I'll go with you because the algorithm and fantasyllama.com says that the Bills defense is going to be golden.
I mean, they're not consistent, but they do have their games.
I'll just say this. Until they have a quarterback that somebody had actually picked out of the draft, I'd go forward. And what's the last pick we got of the week?
Last pick we got of the week, well, I'll just go over the last 2 sources. Redskins 3.5 versus Philly at Washington, and then Texas 3.5.
And I like the Texans picking off a lot. I had the Texans defense doing some serious damage to the Chargers. I just don't think their offense is anywhere near where it was, like, say, 5 years ago. Phillip Rivers is a mess. Is he who he was? That's the big question.
Or Ryan Matthews. You know what? For the rest of the picks, for all 17 weeks, each week, all games each week, go to fantasyllama.com, sign up. We'll get you in. For the first 4 weeks, it's free. After that, we'll get you in. In our last segments of the week, we're going to go into fan emails and then also fantasy call-ins. We're going to have, first of all, we have Jessica from Colorado. She writes to us. It's sponsored by first
Teaspoon Willie.
Teaspoon Willies, teaspoonwillies.com, or Whole Food stores locally. Fantasy Llama, basically I have a friend coming in from Baltimore for the Broncos-Ravens game. And I'll be going to the Rockies game, which these guys beforehand. But I'm curious what the high points of this matchup are to allow me to effectively trash talk.
So essentially, we
Ha,
got,
ha, ha.
we got a girl in Colorado, we got some friends from Baltimore visiting. How do I talk trash to these people while they're sitting here? One, I think every public resident here has defaced every Flacco poster we see, like running around our streets.
Even Broncos players try to tear him down.
Yeah, except the old joke was Raheem Morris tried, he jumped and missed. Going into the game, like, well, how do you talk trash? Well, one, Baltimore. Maybe the greatest thing Baltimore has going for them is the wire, and that was just a drudge-down drug for the program. Denver, just from a city perspective, it's no contest. From the game itself, I've already said I think DT, Demaris Thomas, is going big on Baltimore this week. Peyton's coming in with the edge. He's given his little, like, Peyton antidotes throughout the week on the radio saying, oh, I'm happy if it gets the crowd going. Code 4, I'm juiced. I don't like the opposing quarterback's poster hanging in my town. I'm running the show. I actually see the Broncos winning this game big. So talk trash all you want about how good this team is going to be compared to them.
Do you have anything to interject?
Don't talk about crab cakes.
No. I was going to say, you could say 2 words, go Chiefs. I could just really cut it.
Wow.
Next
Well,
one. Next
Was
one.
that-
I want to thank everybody for viewing the show today, and I appreciate it. And by all means, come to me, the Geek, for advice throughout the week at Fantasy Llama on Twitter, or go to fantasyllama.com. Specifically request certain questions for the next week's show. I'm Brad Reimer, the Geek.
And I'm Aaron Bell, the gut.